Let's absolutely hope it's not going to be the case, as we are ready to kick this one off. We're going to start in the bottom right-hand corner of the map with our blue Protoss player, Nina.
And her opponent, up here in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, it's Future. Being very polite in the pre-game lobby. Hey guys, how are y'all doing? Good luck today, Nina.
Yeah, man.
To the point where, like, really?
He was chatty.
Yeah, very chatty. Definitely in a good mood. Love to see it.
Wonderful stuff, as we are going to just hide the barracks out of the base, which is obviously a pretty typical move in this day and age. Obviously makes your opponent think, oh my goodness, it could be a proxy. Nina is already checking for a nearby proxy before she crosses the map with the probe scout, so just checking things off her list of possibilities here, essentially, as the probe heads up to the upper left-hand side and gets ready to scout in the next couple moments.
Yeah, it's one of those locations where it's not actually cheesy, but it's difficult for the opponent to figure out, although Nina seems to be heading in that direction. She may just find the barracks.
It's kind of, it's a good idea, right? Oh,
Did she see it?
No, she didn't.
She just barely didn't? Oh, what? That's rough.
There's no way you fit a barracks. It's literally in the thinnest part of the lack of vision as well. Like, what?
Wow, that's actually super unlucky.
That's I'm gonna say it's broken, man. Karen's so
now
OP.
she may be convinced it's a proxy over here.
Yeah, especially because that where she scouted is the very common place, because obviously that's easy to bring back into the main, right? So I would not be surprised if she's like, uh-oh, this is a little bit scary. But then where is it, proxy? Because she did check off to the left side as well. Yeah, I guess it's just very unfortunate not to see it when you put the work into scouting it, because you also delay your scout into the base initially too, trying to scout for it out on the map, right? And now a bunker comes up on the natural, and this is where Nina is going to have to start dealing with this.
Okay, well, bunker is going to be a little bit of a nuisance in the natural expansion of the Protoss. Not the end of the world, but still something that can be quite frustrating to deal with. Stalker, however, is coming up, so at the very least that that the Reaper here can be pushed back. The Reaper now is going to work, well, on that probe that was working so hard previously, scouting every location and not really finding anything.
Yep, gonna grab that as the bunker is going to get filled by a Reaper. Next is going to start to take some damage, so we'll fire up some shots, get some damage being done. We just have a Robo facility on the high ground from Nina, so she's going to go Robo immediately off the back of this. Not one of the more popular choices, because, you know, Robo play does not give you the map control and the aggression that usually a, you know, Blink or Phoenix would give you, or an Oracle even. Just have ourselves the Robo still coming about, and we just have ourselves the couple stalkers coming in to clean that Reaper up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now with the shield battery as well on the high ground, yep, I actually don't mind this preemptive salvage over there. Get most of the money back and just play the macro game from here. Okay, Widowmine coming up right now as well on the side of the Terran. We see that starport finishing. We'll probably see a medevac or two here in just a moment, and let's see how good Nina can deal with this early game aggression that we see so very frequently. It's a much discussed build as of late. A lot of players have been talking about the Widowmine start, and can be quite literally very hit or miss.
Yep, very hit or miss. I mean, this Observer coming up, what's really interesting about the Robo when you don't even get a Prism right away, it's like, it almost feels like you have to take no damage from anything, because if you start taking damage, and you have no real way to take damage yourself, because the Observer is essentially doubling down on like, hey, I need to know what's up, I need to be safe. So then if you're playing a safe opener and you're not actually going to, you know, and then you take damage, you're going to be in a bad spot, right? So very important for Nina to have a successful opening here. Do not let this Widowmine drop do anything. She misses the Widowmine drop just slightly, so she will not quite know what direction that will come from. Just getting a slight heads up on that can be very useful. So again, a little bit of a shame that we miss out on it.
Yeah, everything's just been barely missed in this game so far. And that does mean right now the Future can get into the main base relatively uncontested. Good reaction right here, though, by Nina. Trying her very best here to get rid of all of this. Okay, that probe is gonna try and take a beating. Can we get the Widowmine? We can. I mean, that was stellar defense here in the end, despite the fact that she did not see the angle.
Perfect. I mean, that's exactly what you need when you're going to play the Robo opener. Double Immortal now out. I would love to see a Prism. Just start getting some way to harass on the map, and there we go. Robo will follow this, so we can start a tech behind it, and then I feel like we can kind of have a pretty okay time from this. So, get this ready to roll. Interference Matrix is on the way for the Raven from Future. And he just continues into Marine Viking production. 2 tanks already set to go. It looks as though they're going to spread out and get themselves into their siege positions to play defensive here over the next few moments.
Absolutely. Raven up in the air as well. We did see the research on the interference matrix, so it is going to be able to use that ability once again as well. Now with the new multiplayer balance patch, you do have to spend a little bit of time, a couple of resources as well to get that upgrade going, but it'll be very handy right here against whatever Nina is going to be bringing out now. Nina, of course, always a big fan of the Warp Prism play, so not surprised at all to see that one flying across the map right now. Technically a little bit risky, right? Because losing all these units would be very rough, but I guess there's no more Cyclones that can really destroy you very easily.
Yeah, that's true. A little bit safer in that regard. Obviously, Cyclone doesn't have that lock-on range for infinity amount of time. As Stim Combatant +1 starts up from Futures, he gets all of his upgrades on the way. Nina just says, okay, you got a Viking to zone. Potential Raven could Matrix me as well, make things weird, so just going to be safe. Back up. Not going to find anything right now.
Yep, third Nexus on the back of this too. We're going to go into the extended thermal lance. Charge upgrade coming here for Nina. She is just preparing to play a nice little macro game. We'll probably see Future make an attempt at least to move across the map when these upgrades finish up, but until all 3 on the production tab on the right side right there on the production tab are done, we'll probably see him sitting back here.
Yeah, and just drop a little scan trying to get some info. You see the Reaper coming across to spot in the third, and we'll see the army was just positioned a little bit further forward. Colossi obviously starting to join this army. Charge coming up, so we're finally getting those gateway units upgraded as well, after not going into the Twilight Council immediately. There's a little catch the Reaper. Take that out, and the Viking and Raven together. I'm going to pull back through the top, and they're going to join with this army. You mentioned those upgrades. I love the timing, because we're going to move out before they're done, but when we get across the map, they will be done. And I almost feel like this is a lost art from Terran players sometimes. It feels like so many still wait for the upgrades to finish, and it's like, okay, I feel good to get going now. And sometimes you need to be able to stim after units that might try and stop you getting across. But no reason to do that here. As Nina, needs to look after that Prism, because even just Micro and Colossi could make a difference in an upcoming fight.
Yeah, that Prism is gone at this point, so sadly not an option. But the siege tanks do get cut off from one another over here. That's 1 tank down the drain. Interference matrix on both of the Colossus, though. Some nice defensive force fields here, but those Colossi really need to get back up. Yeah,
those force fields, dare I say, game-saving, actually, because I feel like they're very important. Yep. Without them, this could have been really bad. Now Nina's going to dive on this before. Future is really ready for it. He was looking to lift up into the natural, perhaps. Viking going to try and fight a little bit, but without the tanks, you will not really have damage on the Colossi throughout this, and that means you cannot really continue. Now you can jump up in the natural. This is what you are lacking, though, as Nina, right? You do not really have the mobility because you don't have Blink or anything to really stop drop play like this. And that's what Future is going to look to abuse right now, going deep into the main. The Stalkers are going to chase after. Run, Stalkers, run, you can get them. But yeah, honestly, just Stalkers showing up. These bio units can fight for a bit, and a few probes will begin to go down finally. Splash damage showing up to shut this out.
Reinforcing Terran units right now over at the third base, but they are also going to get picked up. And yeah, those Colossi helping out in that department together with those Marauders. In the end, Nina holds on over here, and that's always that dicey moment, right? There are so many moments where it can accidentally slip out of your hands, but not quite the case over here. That being said, though, we now have the third command center done here as well for Future, so nice harassment right there on the other side of the map, and playing the macro game on the back of it too. +1 infantry weapon, or +1 infantry armor rather, just now started up, so all things considered, that's a little bit late, but getting that economy going here is the most important thing.
Yep, as our orbital command going to begin to morph in. 1-1 upgrade, Stormwall coming out. Getting all of that ready as the medevac just sits in the bottom left, just checking what that was. For Colossi, it's actually a really good baseline to still have a hold of, right? The fact we didn't lose a single Colossus through this, especially after the Prism went down, because then you lose the micro potential. Impressive to keep those alive. That's going to be really nice. And yeah, now it means that they're going to complement the Storms nicely. And you can just see Future teching up Armory, Ghost Academy, all of those beginning to come through as our +1 armor is just about halfway done.
Both players transitioning towards a proper mid-game right now. So for Terran, that means adding on the Ghost. For Nina, it means, well, just adding on a lot more units in general, right? Going into the Storm, going into the double upgrades, getting the Blink upgrade here done, as well as the High Templar ready to get some energy going as well. We are going to fire up another prism. Very important to have that one at least somewhere out on the map, right? Even if it's just indeed to protect those High Templar and allow some storms or to, well, for example, warp in on the other side of the map. Because if Terran can just focus all of their attention on the aggression, that's exactly where they want to be.
Yep, those few Widow Mines leading the charge. A few Zealots going to move up the left-hand side. And we just have Future really taking position just now, finishing the 1-1 for Nina. That's big. Obviously, Future with this kind of split army, really ready to force Nina around in different places. Good observer positioning is going to give Nina the heads up on that, though. Eats a few Widow Mine shots to start. Future gets a little bit of a leg up on the fight with that. We actually recall a lot of units to the natural, ready for the other part of this attack. However, Future will see that a bunch of the army just went missing. So what if he joins everything together and then attacks half the army? This could be big. Nina's starting to move back across. No, she stops with the rest of it. The Prism is going to have to save the day here. Storms come down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we do get forward as the Terran, but we took a lot of damage in the process. So at least it wasn't all for nothing from Nina, as the Medevacs do get away just before Blink is ready.
Oh, nice splits right there on the Zealots as well in the end, trying to keep as many of these units occupied as possible. That was almost a disaster though, right? Like that was very close to just being such an amazing fight right there for the Terran, but good crisis management in the end. We do have 4 base economy right now here, properly set up for the Protoss player. A little bit of a drop in the main base. Looks like it will be deflected as well, at least as a couple more reinforcements come up. Here's the interference matrices once again though. That Raven from the early game putting in so much work.
Yeah, again, a second round of Matrixes off, and Colossi is huge, and everything just went down. Not enough damage from Nina because 2 Colossi were not firing. Couple Vikings will help to hunt, and now all the Colossi go down. A little bit of harass on the other side is going to fall, but the most important thing is that Nina's tech kind of just got wiped out because she lost all of her High Templar in the previous fight on the bottom left base. So now she loses all the Colossi trying to counterattack, and her tech is at an all-time low. Future also about to finish 2-2, so it's going to have great upgrades when it comes to gateways versus bio units. Fortunately for Nina, a couple disruptors on the way out. They may have to be her saviors.
Yeah, that Raven coming in clutch, right? It's one of those units you can almost forget about a little bit, right? You see it in the early game, you haven't seen it in a while, maybe it died, whatever. And then suddenly it shows up and disables, well, half of your heavy hitters like that. And that makes that fight incredibly tough, especially because Protoss doesn't really have an easy way to get out of that situation. They can't just, well, pick up and get on out of there from that spot. And it's very tricky, unless you maybe have disruptors coming across too. You can maybe do some bowling, right, while running backwards, hoping maybe you can hit a strike. But nice catch right there by Future for sure. Well done. Going straight into 3-3 as well.
Yep, just not missing a beat on the upgrades, and now I kind of love the momentum he's trying to bring, like thinking about dropping and just keeping on going. Honestly, though, a minute ago, Nina had nothing when it came to splash damage. Now she has 3 disruptors, 4 High Templar, actually make it 4 and 5, respectively. So she's getting back in it. Future maybe could have struck a little bit sooner than he did. Could have been nice as the Bioforce continues out through the center of the map. Next is coming up out the front as well. Just seeing the army of Nina moving around, trying to figure out what the plan is.
Yeah, absolutely. So the disruptor count right now is starting to grow. Okay, High Templar still helpful though, despite the fact, of course, that we do have quite a few ghosts out at this point in the game. Still nice against these drops. You don't need to leave quite as much supply behind. There's another Purification Nova, Medevac going down. Okay, we do, got a nice hit there as well on both the ghosts as well as, I think, one of the one of the Widow Mines.
Yep, that was a nice little catch as Bio sims back down in the bottom left. Marauders don't care so much about being stunned. Battery will do some healing, but not on a morphing Archon, so that Archon should go down if we get rid of the Zealots soon enough. Okay, a little bit of healing done. Extra Zealots warp in. Nina holding on. Future is going to get pushed back again. Now Future will dive the right-hand side. Nina constantly having to just dive one way then the other. Widow Mines burrowing, they will help, but I don't think Future has in any position an army that's going to overwhelm, and Nina right back in this game after losing all of her tech is really back on her 2 feet again.
Yeah, absolutely. Great splitting right here on the units as well, right? So that fight on the right has been going quite well while fighting on the left too at the same time. Now we're all the way back at the Planetary Fortress though, which may be a little bit overly zealous, but well, some nice, Purification Novas over here on the left. Okay, getting quite a bit more. Now the Vikings decide to land too. Well, that's not going to be quite enough. Reinforcing units, okay, are going to be okay with cleaning up the units here on the right. Nina, she ended up losing a lot of her units here, but she killed a ton of SCVs in the process too.
Yep, nicely done all together. I love what Nina's doing, just keeping herself alive, finding fights, and just really dealing so well with the attempted split pushes of Future. Like, Future's trying to be here, there, and everywhere, and Nina's just saying, nah, not really bothered by that, you know? I'm just going to deal with it easy peasy so far.
Okay. Colossi, once again, a good option here. I don't mind it when you see those Vikings landed on the ground, right? When it becomes a very desperate scenario, that opens up the opportunity to go back into Colossi quite a bit easier as well. And this is a very cool switch around, constantly here by Nina, constantly sitting around on, well, a variety of different units, going from Colossi into the Templar and then eventually the Disruptors, and now we're, well, going all the way back towards the Colossus tech as well. Future once again coming in right here from the right side of the map, trying his very best to push forward here. Maybe this time around though. Okay, this is indeed going to find a bit more footing. Templar, Colossi, all of it will end up falling. Battery overcharge still available. Fight over here on the left, not achieving that much, but his Widowmine is going to burrow, but not fire.
Wow. I mean, nice dive from Future on the right side, but just not enough overall. Nina still comes out with good supply, and the thing is, this army from Future is really everything he had, so Nina, the fact she's got an army on the left side, could maybe even move across the map. Looks like she's starting to come over to the right, maybe still worried about what's over here. We stormed to clean up a couple of mines. We'll do a bit of friendly firing, perhaps, with the Stalker. Nope. Okay. Either way, I think Nina, supply-wise, is obviously still looking great, and Future is just struggling to find enough damage with these fights right now.
Going into the +3/+3 upgrades as well at this point is Nina. That was something that was maybe still lacking a little bit. I love the fact that she's now going for the 2 upgrades here at the same time once again. Okay, Ghost leading the charge. Not quite where you want him to be. Ooh, that's another Purification Nova. Yeah, we haven't seen like massive Novas, but they add up over time, right? There's a couple units getting clipped every time.
Yeah, we've not really seen any Novas whip, I think, is the main thing, right? Like, they might not be the biggest Novas ever, but just making sure that you're constantly hitting, that alone is really good, and sometimes more than you get. So, in that regard, Nina's doing very well. Future still trying to go different directions. Just trying to set up and get something done. Bio on that bottom left-hand side. Our Stalkers, Colossi, and Disruptors gathering up as well. This Bioforce of Future wants to make a bit of a dive forward.
Yeah, not really in a position to go into, say, for example, Mass Liberator at this point, right? Like, not really set up for that here at all. So we kind of have to just continue doing the same thing that we have been doing for some time already. Nina just expanding all over the map. Future right now adding on more command centers too, though. So there's one extra one coming up on the left side of the map. Maybe thinking about sneaking out one of the expansions that might ordinarily be considered one of the Protosses, but it does start to feel a bit like an uphill battle here for sure.
Well, going to be maxed out, though. I mean, when you look at the tech units, I think that's the issue. 3 ghosts only, 4 Vikings. That doesn't sound like the army that's going to come in and kind of win this for Future. He has a fusion core on the way, and I love the idea of some ranged liberators, but he's got a lot of building to do to get there, because he's first got to get advanced ballistics, and he's actually got to add the liberators on as well. All this time, he's trying to be aggressive in ways that are just flopping. Nina is dealing with this nicely, and Nina with a 20 worker lead, if she's not going to take any damage, is going to start building up a really sizable bank so that by the time you have a better army as Future, it might just not matter. Nina might just be able to trade once, rebuild quickly, trade a second time, and really win out. These Marauders diving through on this right-hand side, looking for a little extra, but yeah, well played by Nina. Keeps the High Templar alive as well. Future's going to go with everything on the right side. Nina will have to come from the bottom left, but again, Future's just not finding enough so far. Resources lost in the game, very even, but Nina just obviously mining way more as well. That Storm a little bit too high. Could have been more centralized on that army, and this is where Future might grab something.
Yeah, there's a lot of static defense now, though, set up on all of those bases as well in this area of the map. So even when you do grab that lead and you do snipe a couple of those units, because of maybe a missed storm, you still have to fight your way through like 7 of those photon cannons. And by the time you finally get through all of that, well then, there's going to be plenty of units reinforced once again. Man, those storms have been phenomenal. Future keeps trying to run through the psionic storms, but it's not happening. Nina has been too good when it comes to positioning them.
Yeah, she really has been. Jumping forward now, jumping on that Ghost Academy. Disruptors here will clip units again. SCVs are pulling forward too. And this is where Future is going to try and survive. The disruptor shot on the right was massive. As we are going to lose a fair amount as Nina, man, that disruptor. Without that, Nina is going to have a terrible fight. She loses so many Stalkers trying to recall as well. Future, oh my goodness, now getting stormed again. This game can't go 2 seconds without something exciting happening. Feedbacks into a storm, doesn't quite kill the ghost, but brings them low. Future's supply is still trailing. This is the benefit Nina's had of being up in workers the entire time, right? Because she actually has the bank to rebuild with, and Future is really scraping the, the bottom of the barrel, trying to get more units out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, flying a command center all the way north, we are gonna have to get another base going here very soon, because all of these other expansions, they're running dangerously low, and that's exactly what Nina is trying to avoid right now. She doesn't have that big of an army anymore, though, and sometimes Marines and Marauders can just push through all of this. We're still certainly reliant on Storm here, and this is still a pretty flimsy-looking Protoss army, right? It's not an army that can just... It doesn't strike me with a lot of confidence here. You gotta be very cautious with this.
We have 11 High Templar on the map. 4 of them are being left a little bit far back on this space. I was thinking what's on the bottom. A couple of High Templar just warped in there to make it 13. And mostly sag defense. Nina, the one pushing though, finally Future is not being the aggressor. Can some defensive play maybe be the turning point for him? I know what you're saying. I think this army is quite flimsy, but I'm also terrified of just like, moments like this. Storms coming through. The medevac's of the Terran player. I mean, first of all, there's only 2. They're both out of energy. This is the moment where you actually could really do with Caduceus Reactor, that new medevac upgrade. But every Storm right now is just adding up because, again, there's no healing available.
Another one.
You can't snipe either, so there's no good way to deal with this.
Nope. Those EMPs have been shut down for quite a while. There's another Disruptor getting a couple of hits in. There's another Storm. I mean, maybe we had a couple too many High Templar. Apparently, Nina agreed with you, and she decided to send them in one by one. Amazing game of PvT. Very well played.
Yeah, that was just awesome. What a great game. Absolutely fantastic stuff between Nina and Future. Really felt like Future maybe had it a couple of times. I really think there was a point where there was 8 Stalkers and a Disruptor on the map. I'm like, Future, go, buddy, go. And he just sits there. He lets Nina get back in. Nina keeps her composure when she needs to. And she is able to take the first game of this best of 3. The last of the night has so far been a banger. We've been saying it all day. For the last 7 hours we've been live, or however long it's been. 6 hours, I think it has been. For the last 6 hours we've been saying, Future Nina. It's exciting. That's actually a really cool match. Maybe the best of the day. And so far, game 1 is living up to it.
That certainly looked very scary, though. I'm thinking back of that second engagement with those Colossus and the Raven disabling them. Like, that looked horrible for Protoss at that point in the game. Like, that looked like it was game over for sure. Somehow, some way, managed to stay alive. Maybe a little bit too much passivity from that point of Future, right? Like, allowing a bit too much flexibility.
Too passive, and then when he did fight, he was so convinced about splitting his army constantly. I actually think from there, even if the fight, even if you wait a bit, but then go with everything, and there's like 2 or 3 disruptors, then brilliant, because then at least you're hitting with full force, and I think that can make a big difference. But obviously, just kind of going a little bit here and a little bit there was kind of rough as well, so.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Nina requesting a quick moment right here, so we'll be jumping into game number 2 in just a second, but that was a banger of a game number 1 for sure. Very evenly matched, right? It's actually really hard to say who ends up winning this series. I mean, right now Nina's obviously leading 1-0, but there were multiple moments there where I was convinced that Future had it.
I lean towards Nina just because I feel as though Future had more winning moments, whereas Nina had... I didn't feel like Nina was going to win the game until like the last 3 or 4 minutes almost, There's maybe one point where she was like pushing and maybe it looked good, but like it always felt like Future had the opportunities, and every time Nina was bouncing back, which kind of says that Future has trouble ending the game, right? So, I mean, great first game. Can only hope game number 2 is going to be as exciting. Nina's ready. She'll be able to dive on into
it wasn't for a lack of trying, though, right? Like, we always just, as Protoss, had just enough units in the right place at the right time. Like, splitting your army when Terran's splitting their army is super tricky, because it's very easy to accidentally have like too many Templar here, or you run out of Templar there, and you want to make sure you're kind of fighting on your static defense, but also not too far back. I mean, it's very easy for things to go wrong, and I think Nina, all things considered, under that much pressure, handled it really well.
Yep. All right.
We could have maybe seen a slightly earlier transition towards like Liberators or something, right? That would have been nice.
I think his idea at the end there was good. Obviously, I mean, obviously, he probably felt strapped for cash the entire time because he was rebuilding and so on. I mean, just like hectic. But yeah, Liberators would have helped a lot. There was never really an answer to Libs apart from just storming them, which is not actually really that ideal to do, so maybe could have been an option as we have in the top right side. The blue Protoss player who does take the 1-0 lead in the best of 3. It's Nina.
And the opponent down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, it's Future. Playing a very nice game, though.
Yeah.
Showing us that the Raven, definitely still a unit to be respected, right? I feel like initially when the patch first came out, we didn't really see it a whole lot, but it's starting to find its way back again. Good to see.
Good to see. There's the barracks going down. I forgot the last game started off with obviously the probe just missing the racks, and then we just missed the medevac as well. But the defense did turn out good. Obviously, Nina, the way to get to the mid game was a little bit funky, not your kind of everyday kind of style, but got the job done in the end.
No, absolutely. Nina got a little bit unlucky there at the start of the first game, just missing everything by just a very small margin, but Future once again. I'm always a fan of seeing these cheeky barracks. It's relatively small, right, for Terran to make this investment. You can just fly the barracks back into the main base. So not a huge loss right here for Future, but I mean, at this point, is Nina really concerned about it? She's gonna look around, she's like, ah, dang it. There's once again nothing over here inside of the main base.
Yep, just checking about. Again, has checked a little bit to the side initially as well. And she is going to go just out towards the triangle, which is, again, typically where the barracks is. And this time she does confirm it. So she knows what's up. She sees what's happening. Our factory starts on the side of Future. And we'll see what aggression he whisks up for us this time in game number 2.
Absolutely. Nina going to hide over here on the low ground for just a moment. Yeah. Maybe dance in the low ground for a second and figure out exactly what's happening in this game. Once again, a bunker going up on the other side of the map inside of the mineral line of Nina, so she wants to make sure that she shuts that down eventually, but with some clever warping locations are right over here together with that shield battery, of course. Stalkers are going to be a pretty formidable choice. There goes the Reaper.
Gets a little grenade down, nice and cheeky. Bunker finishes, but Reaper hops into said bunker. We continue to just poke our way through that nexus, so yeah, just take a few moments to deal with this. Obviously the battery on the high ground, very safe place to keep the battery, and it can of course heal the stalkers to the low ground, so then they can fight this bunker more adequately. So that is the plan here, as the SCV is going to have, well, second Reaper is actually going to be caught up chasing that probe, just wants to guarantee the kill on that. SCV easily survives it, and the one Reaper doing very minimal damage. The SCV chased away though, so that bunker can't be repaired now.
Nina tried to wall in that Reaper to prevent it from going in, but not quite the case. Well, ultimately, though, the shield battery's still keeping it alive. Gonna hop in the bunker for one final moment just to say goodbye to it, but ultimately, this position will have to be left.
Actually, a good move because the Reaper on the main base now is going to take advantage of the Stalkers being on the low ground. Didn't quite get the bounce on one of the probes we were looking for, and the Reaper goes down, so Nina shuts that down. Hasn't really taken damage here, dealt with this really well. That's that Reaper low, but not low enough for a kill. Yeah, honestly, just very well done throughout across the board there.
Absolutely. All right, Blink upgrade coming up right here for our Protoss. How many gateways are we going to go? Okay, it's going to be 3 of them here in total together with that Robo facility.
Wait, 3 gateways?
2, sorry. Yeah. I was counting structures over here. It's getting pretty late over here.
Yeah, it's okay. It's counting's harder the best of times, man.
I was counting structures. I see 3 glowy structures.
3 glowy structures, definitely 3 gateways.
I mentioned one of them is a robo facility, and then that means there's 3 left over.
That's
how that works.
You carry the robo over, and you subtract the warp gates, and you have 3. StarCraft math.
StarCraft math hits differently at midnight.
Reaper bounds away over to the left-hand side. Medevac still setting up to maybe make the dive into this natural. You have the Reaper going to come through and just have some Stalkers in position. And hit that Reaper a little bit. Probes get pushed back. And the Medevac is going to boost out onto the map with these 4 Widow Mines. So a big drop of Mines from Future. We'll see how well the defense goes. Nina was so on top of defending in game number 1. If she can bring a similar kind of vibe in game 2, she's gonna be off to a hot start.
Okay, here comes the boost. So far, no reaction yet by the Protoss, but she does pull it right here in the end. Okay, we're gonna retarget. It's 2 probes going down. Stalker in the main base does not fall. Secondary Widow Mine drop on the back of this too, but so far, well managed.
Just need the Observer really start cleaning up some of these mines that don't want to fire a second time. Oh, we blinked to the low ground. The Medivac started 2 more mines in, so this is where Future might find mega damages. Nina didn't realize it.
Ooh. That was almost an absolute disaster, but again, just barely handled correctly there. Yeah. Okay, Observer's out now, and that's what we need.
Yep, been cleaning up those mines on the natural. That's why the Stalkers aren't here in the main, but we will get there. 7 probes dead in the game is going to be for what? 5 Widow mines. There's still 1 mine in a Medivac as well. It's obviously more committed than usual from Future. He has had some lost mine time created from all this. This Widow mine will go down before it can fire. Good timing on trying to drop it and get it in place, but Nina was just absolutely on top of it, so a good shutdown in the end. Yeah, that was really well handled, because it's not easy to do that when the Terran is going to start playing all over, and, it's much easier to kind of set up all the aggression in those moments than it is to set up all the defense in those moments.
Yeah, I think we saw the 1 scouting worker going down at the start, so in the end that was 6 probes for 6 Widow mines as well as a Medivac, and that is not something that Protoss players will be too unhappy about. Those Widow mines are not particularly cheap to get going at this stage in the game, especially if you also add in that armory and everything else that Future had to go for here, so not exactly the damage that he was hoping for.
Not exactly.
Third command center though, coming up.
I'll say the cheeky Reaper, just able to grab a probe. Plus it's about to finish, battery in the cannon all coming through. Just have our Stimpack combat shield and the +1 attack upgrade building up. There's a couple of gateways. We'll drop down in the back of Nina's base.
+1 combat shields and Stimpack coming up once again here for Future, finishing up in about 20 seconds altogether. There you can see it popping up on the right side of your screens. Nice little timing right here for the Terran, a nice little power spike, but the problem is it is lined up pretty much precisely together with the extended thermal lens, and I don't think Protoss will mind that all too much. Giving those Colossi some additional range makes cleaning up these attacks from Terran so much easier. That being said though, Future, okay, he's trying to go up this high ground. I think he's going a little too deep here. Yep.
Yeah, the first tank goes down. These Marauders are going to take some damage. Colossi firing. You see a couple sentries being picked off. Stalker's going to continue through. Both Marauders end up going down. I mean, good defense so far from Nina. Most importantly, you still have the 2 Colossi, right? So, as long as they have a little bit in front of them, they're not going to get overwhelmed. They should be able to deal with most things. That is the setup we currently sit in.
Absolutely. Another +1 ground weapons is going to finish up as well here for Nina in just a moment's notice. She's still adding on more Colossi, so that's the 3rd one that just popped out of the Robo facility. Yeah, only 6 Marauders here. There's not really a whole lot that you can do right here as Terran right now, right? Like, what exactly are you going to get done with this army? You gotta be careful you don't accidentally march around the map a little bit too much, because there's very little to be found. I guess Future is hoping that the 4th Nexus is going to be built up here, but that's not the case. It's building on the right side of the map.
Yes, it is. A couple Marines go down. Stalkers will blink forward. Zealots are not with charge, so it's a slow approach. But we'll get rid of all the tanks, and the Zealots can then just pull back and let the Colossi do the damage. If the Bio wants to chase, the Colossi will fire on them. Nina with another good defense. I like what she's doing, honestly. She's defending well. On the right side, a single Marine sees the 4th base coming up, and yeah, just like I say, solid stuff so far. Nina just playing a great game of StarCraft 2. I'm actually very impressed by her level, because I did not know what to expect of Nina coming in. And I know last season she showed up, and we weren't quite sure as well, and she was good, but not this good. So kind of on another level to my expectations here in this winter season. And that's exciting, getting Nina back to maybe her previous form.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Future probably on the ladder when he plays builds like this will find himself, well, with a win at this point, right? Like, he's got multi-layered attacks, the Widow Mines, and then followed up with this aggression and another hit left, right, and center. And so far, Nina has been deflecting all of it really nicely. Not just in this game, but also in the previous one. Mostly just getting maybe a bit overly aggressive with the Colossus attacks, but now in this game there's no Raven to be seen anywhere. This is going to be a scary push, although you do have to respect the Terran army as well. Their forces are very split up. Yeah, and maybe they can meet somewhere in the middle, but Okay, apparently she's gonna fight the natural expansion here. This is... You gotta be careful, right? It's very easy to overextend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Just recall. Oh, she recalled so little, but the sight of the recall is enough. And we nearly get there with the Stalkers to deny a full medevac, so that would have been nice. 5 SCVs went down overall. This has not been bad for Nina. It's very scary. You're playing a very fragile style right now where one overcommitment, you lose half your army, and you might just lose the game, but she's really played it to a T. There's really not been a step out of place, and that means that she's so far absolutely golden. Obviously, it's a great style to play if you can be this aggressive, but again, walk the line of backing off when you need to, not letting drops get behind you and do too much damage. Then it's, frustrating for the Terran player, because it's like, man, how can a Protoss be everywhere with this clunky army? They're meant to be, so confined to one place. Prism goes down. That's a nice catch, at least for Future.
Yeah, Future did make a 4th command center on the back of this too, so it's not like he's completely all in with all of this aggression. He definitely wants to continue fighting here for as long as possible, but slowly but surely, Nina's getting to a point where she is starting to outgrow this Terran army, and yeah, ultimately, now we're making that transition as well towards the Disruptors. Ultimately, the damage of this Protoss force is just growing at a very significant rate.
Sentry Disruptor continuing up, another robo facility coming down from Nina, as we do have units out the front, the rest of this army from Nina in that bottom right. Still split in a couple different places. The Army of Future will begin to make a bit of a move forward. We've got +3 attack, +2 armor, all coming into play. Just getting ourselves ready. These next little moments as we do see Stalkers blinking in. Marauder will go down, Zealots will charge through. And this is nice as well. This is all Nina just picking up units, and she's also chasing the army on the other side. Again, 2 armies just winning fights. Nina's all over Future.
Yeah, absolutely brilliantly done. Now the Planetary Fortress over here, though, at the bottom of your screen is finishing up as well. That is a nice thing to fall back to, especially with those SCVs repairing, and definitely a moment where we see Protoss players overextend all the time. Decent dodge right down the Purification Nova. Still, though, this Protoss army is forced to pull back.
That was a good Disruptor shot. We kind of needed one. This actually turned into a very bad fight for Nina, because her Disruptors really didn't just whiff, they actually hurt her. The problem is, when the Terran comes in like that, you're meant to force the Terran back with the Disruptors, but the first Disruptor shots were nowhere near. One of them even blew up Zealots, and then finally one Disruptor shot was good, but by then it was too late. Future had stood in the concave for way too long, and Nina, after do nothing but gaining our praise for the last few minutes, absolutely butchers the attack, and now is more than just on the back foot. She's in a lot of trouble. Money to spend, but she's going to have an uphill battle right here.
A lot of the firepower there as well for like the first half or so of that fight went onto the Planetary Fortress that ultimately did not end up falling. SCVs right there being used very effectively by Future. Okay, we're getting a medevac or 2 at least. That's something. Nicely done right there though by Future, like really baiting that out as well, right? That Planetary was just seconds away from finishing. He's probably sitting there like, come on, come on, come on. Okay, now go. And at that point you can catch those Disruptors off guard. Well, it's exactly what he was looking for and exactly what he also needed, because like you said, this game was starting to look pretty dicey for the Terran player. Right now, it's looking a whole lot better once again. We're pumping out ghosts 6 at a time.
Yep, also a lot of ghosts coming through. Stalker's gonna blink. Medevac goes down. The rest of this Bioforce from Future is going to come across. And, well, I mean, I do like what Nina's done. I mean, she's been confident enough after this fight to get a couple pickoffs, scare Future a little, and it's given her a chance to get re-maxed here. Upgrades are an issue, currently down an entire set of them. And as Future kind of jumps on this top side, Nina's going to come from the other direction now. Widow might as well do good, splashing those Zealots beautifully. Disruptor needs to pull back, deal with the mine. There's one more mine still there, but Nina maybe lost track of it. As Future is not able to go through, and Nina's getting to a 5th base while Future still sits on 4. Nina's still popping a little bit as Stalkers chase down for a couple of these ghosts.
Yeah, absolutely. Future once again scared to continue fighting in this location, but that's also because this is only a small chunk of the Terran army. It's currently, well, setting up as well on the right side of the map, maybe ready to go for some more aggression. Another command center will be established at the bottom section of the map as well. If Future can now strike at one of these bases and, for example, take it out, that would be almost forcing Nina into an all-in. So that's exactly what Future is trying to get done right now. Recall is going to be activated. A lot of those Protoss units jump from the left side of the map towards the right. It's starting to look a little bit dicey here for Nina for sure, but she's still maxed out and finishing 3-3 research. It is still doable, but I'm liking this position for Future a lot more.
Prism Orbs and a couple of Zealots in the midst of a Terran move across the map. There's Protoss units everywhere, Terran units everywhere. Disruptor shots obviously can be big. Walking across this bridge, it's a narrow space, so you need to be a little bit careful there. As a big load up from Future, going to rotate around the left side, going to fly right through an OBS. If Nina is watching, she just selected the OBS. I think she knows exactly what's happening. And if she can catch those medevacs, you can see her blinking across. Yeah, this could be so good. If the Disruptors can hold on the right side, she catches those medevacs, although actually the unload has already happened. But maybe Future isn't expecting these units to press forward. If the Disruptor shots are preemptive, Future might not be watching. He dives forward himself. He denies both Disruptors. He gets every single one. That's huge. Now the Stalkers will struggle. Nina needed to be a little bit more preemptive on those Disruptors, and she just didn't get there. As now the Robo facilities get caught. Fresh Disruptor was about to pop. Denied. And a couple of Vikings going to try and get that Colossus. Marauders will help it as well. Future continuing to find pickoffs right now.
Yeah, brilliant movement right here around the map from Future. He didn't realize he was spotted, but he still made all the right decisions there. Hit the Stimpack button and decided to target fire down those Disruptors. It's so easy to accidentally mess it up, but he did that perfectly. Not quite winning the fight as convincingly on the right side of the map earlier now, but I mean, yeah, still taking out one of these bases here would be absolutely massive. Reinforcing Protoss units, though, are becoming available, but that Nexus is in a world of trouble. There's many Marauders make short work of that very, very quickly. More expansions coming up. We have a Liberator transition as well on the horizon. I mean, I don't think Future really needs it. I believe that we are going to game number 3, Wardy.
I think so. The end of the night is definitely stretching out a little bit as our Disruptor shots continue through. Nina had her moment in this game, but Future took it away and absolutely kept it. Just shows you how dangerous Future can be when he does get a bit of momentum behind himself. Having to pull back a little further now. These Widow Mines going to help to clean up the Zealots. Marauders will just absolutely melt the Disruptors, the Colossus, and everything else that's here. And this really should just be GG's. We're going to a final map of the day. Yeah, this America's region has absolutely spiced up a little bit on day number 1. These last 3 maps have been incredible.
We had some very quick 2-0s at the start of the day, to the point where we were a little bit ahead of schedule, but luckily the American region right here is showing us some very spicy games for sure. Yeah, this is turning out to be a very, very close one.
Yep, going to Alcyone for the final map as well, which can be quite a sizable map. It's obviously wild too, because Future's playing so aggressive in the early game. Like, it's not impossible we see a short game if Nina messes up, but that's what Nina hasn't done. She's been so good early. And this time she was really in a great way throughout, or in a great place throughout. As Nina readies up, just waiting for Future to ready up. These guys don't need a break. We're going to go straight into it. Alcyone is the deciding map here of this best of 3.
Exactly. All right, so these players apparently ready to go back to back to back. No breaks required whatsoever. Curious to see if Future is going to build his first barrack outside of his main base once again. I would not be surprised.
Twice in a row, man. He's onto something. He's onto something. All right, Alcyone coming up. Future versus Nina getting ready. We'll be into this in a few moments' time, so getting this ready to roll out. And let's do it. 1-1, tied up in the bottom left-hand side. Our blue Protoss player. This is Nina.
And the opponent, all the way in the top right-hand corner, it's Future.
How about a really far forward barracks? Actually proxying it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, technically it was a proxy, I guess, in the previous games, but a very, very conservative one, right? Now building it on the other side. Okay. Taking 5 or 7 minerals, I guess, for the road.
Yeah. He's gonna use that to buy lunch on the way back home, man.
That's nice. Inflation has hit hard in the Cthulhu sector as well, man. Used to be $5, now he's gonna pay 7. Well, sadly, Nina for it. Well, sadly, right here for Future. Nina is gonna scout it. If she can kill that SCV, it is basically game over.
A little brutal, but definitely not great if you do not get the barracks up. Of course, SCVs are great at dancing around. Ooh. Oh, we wall ourselves in only for the SCV to be like, actually, nah, that's a little bit unfair. Okay, second probe gets pulled. What are we going to do? Actually, you can nibble down the depot. That will have to cancel. Now you can put one probe on each side of this, and then extra SCVs show up. We're actually going to kill one SCV. We still have 2 probes against SCVs here. I mean, this other SCV is going to drop pretty quick.
This is rough.
Yeah, it's gonna get up, but I mean, we've had the probes have honestly had a good time. I can't believe our man took his gold minerals and he never got to spend them. You know, you work all your life.
All about that already.
You work all your life for something and it gets taken away. Spend while you can.
He was
guys.
looking forward to a sandwich, man. That is sad. Oh well. Anyways. This is definitely not the start, though, that Future was looking for. I mean, those extra SCVs were very much so needed because you find yourself falling so far behind if you cancel and then rebuild it all the way back home to the point where it is basically game over. Pulling the SCVs early, though, absolutely the key right here for Future, because finishing up the barracks is the key to, well, building, for example, a factory, right? Which is kind of a nice structure.
Reaper gonna nab our probie, which is gonna be neat. We're gonna actually get a second probe before the Stalker's out, so that's 2 probes killed. Somehow, some way, this Reaper still did 2 workers of damage, despite all of that delay, man.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Actually kind of wild.
I actually can't quite believe that happened. You know, like, that did not seem like it should be the case. Yet, here we are.
He showed up like 45 seconds late.
Yeah. Man, I imagine it was on time.
Not quite that much, but yeah.
Well, you see 2 Reapers are going to look around and try and find more openings. The 2 Stalkers in the main will try and get over here, and the Reapers, obviously in a very obvious spot right now. Nina sees every move of those. Just going to keep an eye on it. And those Reapers do back it up. Barracks continues to the upper right side of the map as well, so off we go. Back home. Command's in the building on the low ground. And away we head.
Okay, so Twilight Council here coming up. Widowmine drop once again is going to be the option here for the Terran. Medevac here on the production tab together with that Widowmine. And these Stalkers are going to be able to push this back nice and easily. And there's that Blink upgrade.
Still 4 workers went down to Reapers in this game, and that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Especially now if you get the Medevac out and you start Widowmine dropping right. You know, even if you just start, denying mining time, that can really add up. That can really be an issue. So, things to watch for as a barracks goes down in the main base. An additional one from Future as other barracks returns home. Just the 2 mines, not as aggressive as we've been in previous game with mine drops. It is just going to be the 2, and we're going to focus on other units in more of a pushing style rather than a harassing style. ASAP, basically, from our Terran player.
Yeah, exactly. So, how much damage can these Widowmines deal? So far, Nina has been dealing with them really well, though. In game number 2, she didn't see them coming, but she still handled that aggression incredibly cleanly. Let's see. Stalkers don't have Blink available just yet, but they might just be able to target it down. Okay, not quite going to make it.
Stalker kill? No.
There we go.
Okay. Well, one Widowmine in the main base,
Probe in
Nina!
the main base!
7 kills. That is not good. And especially when you saw the Medevac go across there, you've got to assume there's still a Widowmine inside when only 1 drops on the natural. And she just got a little bit, caught up splitting on the natural. It just took a little too much of her attention. And that's big damage. Bigger damage than we've seen Future deal in the early game for, the previous games. So puts Future in a great spot here. As now he gets that Matrix up as well. Could have a scary time with Matrix, tank, marine drop. Widowmine drop comes back around the side. Nina at least sees it, but it's going to be at least 1 more probe to clean this up. Unless you do some Blink Stalker micro. But all of this is lost mining time as well, remember, as the Reapers come back in. Oh, we get 3 probes off the Widowmine, a 10-kill mine. It will go down, but obviously that is once again some fantastic additional damage.
Yeah, and this in addition to all of those kills that the Reapers got, right? It's now 15 workers that have gone down in the game. And the cost of 2 Reapers and 2 Widowmines, that's not bad at all. Maybe she can get the Medevacs. I mean, she shouldn't be, but maybe Future. Okay, misrallying that ever so slightly. Also sticks around for a bit longer. This is not quite an opportunity for Protoss to go across the map and then, well, just start doing some of that magical Blink Stalker control. She can certainly give it a try, but this is already a Terran who's very well set up for exactly that. Plus, now we have the Colossus transition once again on the horizon too, but there's a Raven with Interference Matrix researched. Everything's going really well right now for Terran.
Yeah, the only thing that's not here already are the Terran upgrades, which is, a saving grace for Nina, whose supply is not where it needs to be. Down 7 workers. If there was Terran upgrades in play right now, this game would end. Future is Gonna get there though, and we'll see where Nina will be at by the time Future gets to attack. A disruptor on the way. The kind of thing that might be a saving grace, right? Maybe a disruptor can make the difference. But that really kind of more so relies on Future messing up at the moment than it does Nina playing well, which is kind of the hole that Nina's in right here.
Yeah, I guess we're just skipping the Colossus here altogether, going straight into the disruptors. Is generally not something we see all that often, but in this case it may just be the right move. There's +1 together with the combat shields as well as that Stimpak upgrade that you were talking about, and that's going to open up an opportunity for Future to march across the map, and we'll probably see him packing up his stuff here momentarily and preparing for that attack.
Yeah, there's no way he doesn't move out in 30 seconds, and I honestly don't know what Nina does. Like, she does have the disruptor coming across the map. I was gonna say, like, maybe like a prism to sneak drop the disruptor somewhere and get like a cool angle. You can see her trying to set up for the counter. She wants to hold Future back. Future is gonna try and split up to fight these stalkers on two sides. I mean, nice ideas, and with the disruptor coming in from a bit of an odd position, maybe it can do something. I think Future's gonna see it, and he's just gonna pull away in time. Does nothing. Recall on the disruptor. I mean, now we get the Raven at least, but yeah, Future's attack is starting, and it's a 30, almost 40 army supply lead. It's going to increase as you lose a few stalkers already. This definitely feels as though Future is on his way to win Game 3.
What Nina needs at this point is a perfect disruptor hit. If somehow, some way she can, well, hit a disruptor in the middle of the bio army, I think that's the only way to come back. Yeah, there's the interference matrixes shutting it down as well. It can be used against Colossi, but it's still pretty good against disruptors as well. And now suddenly Future is stimming forward. Maybe a little bit overly greedy, but as long as he gets in this position over here with the siege tank, she can't break it, and without a third base, you can't play the game.
Yeah, the third base is big. I think the other thing as well, though, is just now you're on the high ground. It's easier to push into the disruptors. You have a bit more space to split back as you move forward, so that works a little better as well, as Future has an upgrade lead here. We will see the Stalkers blinking forward for the tanks. That disruptor shot goes wild to the left. Is not going to find too much here, as the bio that's left over is going to be way too much. Obviously on top of the disruptors already. There is going to be the lift up needed, as now we have to step back, and Future not quite going to end it right here, but that was obviously a pretty good start. He's going to unload, and honestly could probably just go again. Disruptors, most of them on cooldown. I believe one is not. The newest one in the back there. He's already stimming, so he kind of wants to move forward. There's the shot coming in. And we have a couple disruptor shots still remaining.
Yeah, here's the Terran bio reinforcements though, moving across the map. They're now arriving over here on the natural of the Protoss. It's now 3 base Terran versus 2 base Protoss, which is, well, definitely the situation you want to be in. Here's a couple of the disruptors going down. GG gets cold.